if you found this, something already happened. Not when you pressed play. Before that. In the moment you were drawn here, in whatever quiet or chaotic corner of your day, this reached you. Something in your biology was already in motion. Something that most people will spend their entire lives never knowing about themselves, never being shown, never being given language for. And the fact that you're here, that this particular transmission found you at this particular moment, is not coincidence. It is coherence. It is your field doing exactly what a field does when it's ready to recognize something it already knows. So before we go anywhere else, I want you to do something. I want you to place one hand on your chest. Right now. Don't wait until you feel ready. Just do it. Feel the warmth there. Feel the subtle pressure of your own palm against your sternum. And underneath that, if you're quiet enough, you might feel your heartbeat. That rhythm, that ancient, automatic, extraordinary rhythm, is not just keeping you alive. It is generating a field, a measurable, real, electromagnetic field that extends beyond your skin, beyond your clothing, beyond the room you're sitting in. And inside that field, inside the signal, your heart broadcasts into the space around you. Something is speaking to the quantum structure of your biology. That something is the subject of everything we're going to explore today. Because here is what the title of this transmission is pointing to. And I want to be precise about it, because precision matters here more than anywhere. Your DNA, the roughly 3 billion base pairs coiled inside the nucleus of every one of your approximately 37 trillion cells, is not a fixed blueprint. It is not a sealed document. It is not a sentence that was written before you were born and cannot be changed. It is, in the most literal and measurable sense, a dynamic system, a responsive system, a system that listens. And what it listens to is you. Not the you that talks, not the you that plans and worries and makes lists, the you that radiates, the electromagnetic you, the field you, the frequency signature that your heart and nervous system broadcast into the quantum environment inside your own body, 24 hours a day, from the moment you drew your first breath to the moment you draw your last. That signal is reaching your DNA right now, in this moment, as you sit here, as you breathe, as your eyes move across this experience, and something in you responds to what it's hearing. And here is the part that changes everything. That signal is not fixed either. It changes when you change. It shifts when your coherence shifts. It carries different information. when you are in a state of fear than when you are in a state of love. When you are contracted than when you are expanded. When you are dimmed than when you are radiating at your full, conscious, deliberate luminosity, which means that what reaches your DNA, what your genome is listening to right now, is not predetermined. It is a broadcast. And you are the broadcaster. This is not metaphor. This is not spiritual poetry dressed up in scientific language. This is the cutting edge of a field called Epigenetics, and it is rewriting everything we thought we knew about what a human being is and what a human being can do. Let me show you the science first, because the science is extraordinary, and because you deserve to understand the mechanism, not just the feeling. The word epigenetics comes from the Greek prefix epi, meaning above or over. Epigenetics is literally the study of what happens above the gene, the instructions that sit on top of the genetic code and tell it what to express, what to silence, what to amplify, what to fold away. Your genome contains roughly 20,000 protein-coding genes. At any given moment, only a fraction of those genes are active. The rest are either silenced or waiting. What determines which genes speak and which ones stay quiet? Epigenetic markers, chemical tags, primarily methyl groups and acetyl groups that attach to the DNA strand or to the histone proteins that DNA is wrapped around, and act as volume controls for genetic expression. Here is what most people don't know about those markers. They are not permanent. They are not inherited fate written in stone. They are responsive. They change based on environment. They change based on nutrition, based on stress, based on toxin exposure, based on sleep. And they change. This is the part that matters most for what we're exploring today, based on the electromagnetic environment inside your own body, based on the field your heart generates, based on the frequency your nervous system broadcasts into the cellular environment where your DNA lives. To understand why this matters so deeply, it helps to understand what a methyl group actually does when it lands on a gene. Methylation, the attachment of a methyl group to a cytosine base in the DNA strand, typically silences the gene it lands on. It physically obstructs the molecular machinery that would otherwise read and transcribe that gene. The gene is still there. The sequence is intact, but it cannot be read. It is, in the language of the cell, turned off. Acetylation works in the opposite direction. When acetyl groups attach to the histone proteins that DNA is wound around, they loosen the coiling, making the DNA more accessible, more readable, more expressible. These two processes, methylation silencing and acetylation activating, are happening continuously inside every one of your 37 trillion cells. And both processes are sensitive to the electromagnetic environment those cells are living in. This is not a peripheral detail. This is the entire story. The chemical machinery that determines which version of you your genome is expressing right now is responsive to the field you are generating, to the signal your heart is broadcasting, to the coherence or incoherence of your electromagnetic signature in this moment. If this is landing for you, here's something I want to share. Have you spent years trying to feel lit up again? Visualizations, affirmations, vibration work, and the light still won't hold? Every one of those methods is telling you to push harder, do more, add another technique. It's not working because the issue isn't that you don't have enough light. 6 specific patterns are sitting on top of it. They're called the frequencies of forgetting. The remembering field, a quantum guide to returning to the light. You forgot you were carrying walks through all 5 parts of getting those patterns off you. Every tool you used tried to add more light. This one lifts what's been sitting on the light you already carry. The longer you wait, the harder they get to clear. So go open it tonight. The link is in the pinned comment below. Now let's return to the science, because what comes next is where the mechanism becomes undeniable. The HeartMath Institute, a research organization based in California that has been measuring the human heart's electromagnetic field for more than 3 decades, has documented something that should be in every biology textbook on the planet. The heart generates an electromagnetic field that is approximately 5,000 times stronger in magnetic amplitude than the field generated by the brain. 5,000 times. That field extends measurably up to several feet beyond the surface of the body in every direction. It is not a fringe measurement. It has been replicated. It has been documented with magnetocardiography equipment, the same category of instrumentation used in hospital diagnostics. The field is real. The field is powerful. And the field is carrying information. What kind of information? HeartMath researchers have identified something they call heart rate variability coherence, or coherence. This is a specific pattern in the rhythm between heartbeats. When you are in a state of fear, anxiety, anger, or chronic stress, your heart rate variability pattern becomes erratic, jagged, incoherent. The intervals between beats are irregular in a chaotic way, and the electromagnetic field generated by that incoherent pattern carries that chaos into the body, into the cells, into the environment where your DNA is trying to receive instruction. When you are in a state of genuine positive emotion, specifically emotions like love, gratitude, care, and appreciation, your heart rate variability pattern becomes smooth, ordered, sinusoidal, coherent. The electromagnetic field generated by a coherent heart is measurably different in its structure from the field generated by an incoherent one. It is more organized, more powerful, and it carries that organization into the body. It is worth pausing here to understand what sinusoidal actually means in this context, because the word matters. A sinusoidal wave is a smooth, continuous, rhythmically oscillating pattern. It is the waveform that appears in nature when systems are in their most efficient, most resonant state. The vibration of a tuning fork produces a sinusoidal wave. The oscillation of a pendulum in frictionless motion traces a sinusoidal arc. When your heart rate variability pattern becomes sinusoidal, it means your heart is oscillating with the same quality of smooth, ordered rhythm that characterizes systems operating at peak efficiency. The electromagnetic field produced by that sinusoidal pattern is itself more ordered, more coherent, more capable of carrying organized information into the cellular environment. This is not an analogy. The physics of wave propagation means that a coherent, sinusoidal source field produces a coherent, organized signal in the medium it passes through. Your cells are that medium. Your DNA is swimming in that signal. If this is landing for you the way it's landing for me every time I return to it, take a moment to like this video and subscribe so we can keep going deeper together. Now let's stay right here, because this is where it gets extraordinary. Now here is where this connects to DNA in a way that most people have never been shown. Inside your cells, your DNA is not floating freely. It is wrapped tightly around proteins called histones, and the whole complex, the DNA plus the histones, is called chromatin. The state of chromatin, whether it is tightly wound or loosely wound, determines whether the genes in that region are accessible for expression or effectively silenced. When chromatis is tightly coiled, the genes inside it are physically inaccessible to the transcription machinery. When chromatin is loosened, those genes become available to be read, copied, and expressed. What determines chromatin state? Electromagnetic environment is one of the factors. The field inside the cell nucleus responds to the electromagnetic signals coming from outside the cell. This is not fringe science. This is the field of bioelectromagnetics, and it has been studied for decades. Your cells have receptors that respond to electromagnetic signals. Your DNA, specifically the water molecules in the immediate environment of the DNA strand, is exquisitely sensitive to electromagnetic frequency, the structure of that water. The way the water molecules around your DNA organize themselves changes in response to electromagnetic input. And the organization of that water affects how the DNA strand itself behaves. The sensitivity of water to electromagnetic fields is something that physical chemists have been documenting for decades. Water is a polar molecule, meaning it has a slight positive charge on one end and a slight negative charge on the other. This polarity makes water molecules extraordinarily sensitive to electromagnetic fields. When an electromagnetic field passes through water, the water molecules reorient themselves in response to that field. They form different hydrogen bonding networks. They organize into different structural arrangements. And because the DNA strand is surrounded by a thin shell of water molecules that are integral to its structural stability and its ability to be read by transcription machinery, the electromagnetic organization of that water shell directly influences how the DNA strand behaves. This is not a peripheral effect. The water immediately surrounding DNA is not just a passive solvent. It is an active participant in genetic expression, and its organization is electromagnetic. Dr. Luc Montagnier, the Nobel Prize-winning virologist who co-discovered HIV, spent the last decades of his career documenting something extraordinary. DNA emits and responds to electromagnetic signals. His research, controversial in some quarters, precisely because it was so paradigm-challenging, showed that DNA sequences could be detected through their electromagnetic signatures in water, and that those signatures could influence biological processes at a distance. Whether or not every aspect of his later work becomes mainstream consensus, the core finding that DNA has an electromagnetic dimension that is not captured by pure biochemistry is consistent with what bioelectromagnetics researchers have been documenting for decades. Your DNA is in an electromagnetic conversation with its environment, and your heart's field is one of the most powerful electromagnetic signals in that environment. Which brings us back to you, to your hand on your chest, to the rhythm beneath your palm. What is your heart saying to your DNA right now? This is the question that changes everything. Not what did it say yesterday, not what will it say tomorrow, but what is it saying right now, in this moment, as you receive this transmission? Because the conversation is continuous. It never stops. Your heart never stops broadcasting. Your DNA never stops listening. The only question is what the broadcast contains. And here is the extraordinary thing about the moment you're in right now. The moment of recognition. The moment when you go from not knowing this to knowing it. From radiating unconsciously to beginning to understand that you radiate. From thinking of your DNA as a fixed inheritance to understanding it as a living, listening, responsive system that is being spoken to by your field in every moment. That shift in understanding is itself a biological event. When your nervous system registers a significant new pattern of meaning, when something clicks into place that reorganizes how you understand yourself and what's possible, there is a measurable physiological response. Neurotransmitter release changes. Stress hormone profiles shift. The autonomic nervous system, which governs the balance between sympathetic activation and parasympathetic rest, recalibrates. And all of that changes the electromagnetic environment inside your body, which changes what your heart broadcasts, which changes what your DNA hears. Understanding that you are a broadcaster is itself a frequency upgrade. This is why the title of this transmission says what it says. Not as a metaphor, as a description of what is actually happening in your biology when you receive this kind of information, and something in you recognizes it as true. Your DNA is already being rewritten, not because of this video, because of the state of recognition and coherence that finding it, being ready for it, represents. Let me tell you about a woman named Mara. Mara was 41 years old when she found herself sitting in a doctor's office being told that her health markers were, as the doctor put it, consistent with someone much older. Her inflammation levels were elevated. Her cortisol patterns were dysregulated. She had been experiencing fatigue that no amount of sleep seemed to touch, a kind of bone-deep exhaustion that she had quietly accepted as just the way she was, the way her body was, the inheritance she had been given. Her mother had the same fatigue, her grandmother had it too. She had a story about her biology, a story she had been told and had told herself so many times. It had become invisible, the way water is invisible to a fish. The story was, this is just how we are. This is our body. This is our genes. What Mara didn't know, what no one had ever shown her, was that what she was experiencing was not primarily genetic expression. It was epigenetic expression. The genes associated with her inflammatory markers and her cortisol dysregulation were being expressed not because they were inevitably and permanently switched on, but because the electromagnetic environment inside her body had been broadcasting a signal for decades that kept those genes in a state of high activation. That signal was chronic, low-grade fear, not dramatic fear, not crisis fear. The quiet, constant background hum of a nervous system that had learned somewhere in early life that the world was not entirely safe. That vigilance was the price of survival. That relaxing fully was a risk she couldn't afford. That signal, that chronic, low-level stress coherence, was the broadcast her heart was sending to her cells, and her cells were listening. Her epigenome was listening, and it had organized itself around that signal, amplifying the genes that support vigilance and suppressing the genes that support restoration, repair, and regeneration. Mara didn't change her diet first. She didn't start a new supplement protocol first. What changed first was her understanding of what she was broadcasting. She learned, exactly as you are learning now, that her heart's field was the primary electromagnetic environment for her DNA. She learned that coherence, the specific, ordered pattern of a heart generating positive emotion, was a signal that her genome had been waiting for. Not because it was foreign, but because it was native. Because the genome evolved in a context where love and safety and belonging were the baseline, not the exception. Because the coherent signal is, in the deepest biological sense, the signal your DNA recognizes as home. She began a practice, not a complicated one, not one that required retreats or special equipment or hours of daily commitment. She began every morning before she got out of bed to place her hand on her heart and deliberately generate the feeling of genuine appreciation, not gratitude as a cognitive exercise, not a list of things she should be grateful for. The actual felt sense of warmth and care for something real in her life. Her daughter's laugh, the feeling of sunlight on her face, the smell of coffee, real, specific, felt appreciation. She held that state for 5 minutes, then 10. Then, as it became easier to access for longer periods throughout the day, within 3 months, her inflammation markers had shifted measurably. Within 6 months, her doctor was asking what she had changed. Within a year, the fatigue that she had believed was her genetic inheritance had lifted to a degree she had stopped believing was possible. What changed? Her broadcast changed. The signal her heart was sending to her DNA changed. And her DNA, which had been waiting, which had always been capable of a different expression, began to express differently. This is not a miracle. This is biology. This is the body doing exactly what it was designed to do when the electromagnetic environment inside it shifts. Your genome is not your fate. It is your instrument, and your coherent heart is the hand that plays it. I want to pause here and ask you something, because this community is one of the most luminous I know. Have you ever felt your aura shift? A moment when you walked into a room and something changed, when someone responded to you differently, when you felt the warmth of your own field activate in a way you couldn't quite explain? Share it in the comments. Your experience is real, and it matters to everyone reading. Now, I want to take you deeper into the mechanics, because there is a layer of this that most people never reach, and it is the layer where the real power lives. We've talked about epigenetic markers, the chemical tags that regulate gene expression. We've talked about the heart's electromagnetic field and its influence on the cellular environment. Now, I want to talk about something called gene expression cascades, and why the frequency of your field doesn't just affect individual genes. It affects entire networks of genetic activity simultaneously. Here is how gene expression actually works at the molecular level. When a gene is activated, it doesn't just produce a single protein and stop. It often activates other genes. Proteins produced by one gene act as transcription factors for other genes. A single shift in gene expression can cascade through dozens or hundreds of downstream genes. The genome is not a collection of independent switches. It is a network of interconnected circuits, and changing the state of one node in the network changes the state of many others. This is why a shift in your heart's coherence state doesn't just affect one or two isolated biological processes. It affects cascades. It shifts entire networks of gene expression simultaneously. The research on this, particularly work done at the HeartMath Institute using DNA samples exposed to different coherence states, has shown that specific positive emotional states correlate with measurable changes in the expression of genes involved in immune function, inflammation regulation, cellular repair, and even telomere maintenance. Telomeres. Let's stay here for a moment, because this is extraordinary. Telomeres are the protective caps at the ends of your chromosomes. Think of them like the plastic tips on the ends of shoelaces. They protect the chromosome from fraying and degradation during cell division. Every time a cell divides, the telomeres get slightly shorter. When they get short enough, the cell can no longer divide, and it enters a state called senescence, essentially cellular old age. Telomere length is one of the most important markers of biological aging that we have. Longer telomeres correlate with longer health span, with greater resilience, with lower rates of age-related disease. Here is what most people don't know. Telomere length is not fixed. It is regulated by an enzyme called telomerase, which can actually rebuild and lengthen telomeres. And telomerase activity is regulated epigenetically. It responds to the electromagnetic environment of the cell. It responds to stress. It responds to coherence. Nobel Prize-winning researcher Elizabeth Blackburn, who won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 2009 for her discovery of telomerase, has spent years documenting the relationship between psychological states and telomere length. Her research, conducted with psychologist Elissa Epel, showed that chronic psychological stress, specifically the kind of stress that comes from feeling that you have no control over your circumstances, correlates with significantly shorter telomeres. The cells of chronically stressed individuals look biologically older than their chronological age. But here is the other side of that finding, the side that almost never gets reported. The same research showed that psychological states characterized by present moment awareness, positive engagement, and what researchers describe as eudaimonic well-being, the sense of living with purpose and meaning, correlate with longer telomeres and higher telomerase activity. The cells of people in these states look biologically younger than their chronological age. Your emotional frequency, the coherence or incoherence of your heart's broadcast, is reaching your telomeres. It is influencing the enzyme that determines how quickly or slowly your cells age. You are not just broadcasting into the world around you. You are broadcasting into the world inside you, into the most intimate biological structures of your being. And that broadcast is shaping your biology in ways that are measurable, documented, and real. This is the moment I want you to feel the weight of what I'm telling you, not as burden, as power. If your frequency reaches your telomeres, if your coherence influences the enzyme that rebuilds the caps on your chromosomes, if your emotional state is an epigenetic signal that cascades through networks of genetic expression simultaneously, then what you radiate is not a secondary concern. It is not a luxury or a spiritual practice for people who have the time. It is the most fundamental biological act of your life. Your radiance is not decoration. It is medicine. Let's do the practice now, because understanding this without feeling it is only half of what this transmission is for. The other half is activation. And activation requires the body, not just the mind. This practice is specifically designed for what we've been exploring today. It is a coherence activation that targets the epigenetic broadcast. I want you to follow this precisely because the sequence matters. Begin by finding a comfortable position. You can be seated or lying down. If you're seated, let your spine be long, but not rigid. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Let your jaw soften. If you're lying down, let your body be fully supported by whatever surface is beneath you. Now bring both hands to your heart center, the middle of your chest. Stack them, one on top of the other. Feel the warmth of your own hands against your sternum, and begin to breathe in a specific pattern. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 5. Hold for just a moment at the top. Then breathe out through your mouth, slowly, for a count of 5. In for 5, out for 5. This is called heart-focused breathing. And it is the specific respiratory pattern that HeartMath research has shown most reliably shifts the heart into a coherent electromagnetic state. Do this for a full minute before we continue. Breathe in for 5 counts. Out for 5 counts. Let your attention rest on your heart, on the warmth beneath your hands, on the rhythm of your own breath. Keep breathing. Now, while maintaining that slow, even rhythm, I want you to call up a genuine feeling, not a thought about a feeling, the actual felt sense of something real. Think of a moment when you felt completely safe, completely held, completely at ease. It might be a childhood memory. It might be a place in nature. It might be a moment with someone you love. It might be the feeling of a particular morning light, or the specific warmth of a particular season. Whatever it is, let it be real. Let it be specific. Let it be felt in your body, not just remembered in your mind. As that feeling begins to generate in your chest, Notice what happens to your breath. Notice what happens to the tension in your shoulders, your jaw, your belly. Notice the quality of warmth that begins to radiate from the center of your chest. That warmth is not imagination. That is your heart's electromagnetic field shifting into coherence. That is your field reorganizing from incoherent to ordered, from chaotic to sinusoidal, from broadcasting stress to broadcasting love. And in this moment, every cell in your body is receiving a different signal. Stay here. Keep breathing. Keep feeling. Now I want you to add something to that feeling. Without losing the warmth, without shifting out of the felt sense of safety and ease, I want you to add the quality of appreciation. Not gratitude as a concept, appreciation as a sensation, the specific felt quality of genuinely valuing something. Let it be simple. The fact that you are breathing, the fact that your heart is beating without your asking it to, the fact that right now, in this moment, you are alive, and you are here, and you are receiving this. Let that appreciation deepen the warmth in your chest. Now here is the part of the practice that is specific to what we've been exploring today. While you maintain this coherent state, while your heart is broadcasting love and appreciation into the field of your body, I want you to bring your awareness down through your chest, through your belly, through the core of your body, down to the cellular level. I want you to imagine, with as much felt reality as you can, that the warmth radiating from your heart is reaching your cells, that it is moving through the fluid that surrounds your cells, that it is entering the nucleus of each cell, that it is reaching the chromatin, the tightly wound DNA histone complex, and that the coherent signal of your heart's field is gently, systematically loosening what has been too tightly wound, opening what has been closed, activating what has been waiting. You don't need to know the names of the genes. You don't need to direct this consciously. Your field knows where to go. Your biology knows what it needs. Your only job in this moment is to maintain the signal, to keep the broadcast coherent, to keep the warmth alive in your chest and let it radiate inward. Stay here for as long as you can. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10. The longer you maintain this state, the deeper the epigenetic signal reaches. The more thoroughly your field reorganizes the electromagnetic environment inside your cells. This is not passive. This is the most active thing you can do for your biology. This is the broadcast your DNA has been waiting for. When you're ready, let your hands rest in your lap. Take one deep, full breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and come back to the room. Welcome back. What you just did was not a relaxation exercise. It was a coherence practice with documented epigenetic implications, the state you just generated. Heart rate variability, coherence combined with positive emotion and focused attention is the specific state that HeartMath researchers have shown correlates with measurable changes in gene expression in as little as 1 session. You don't need to believe that. You don't need to feel certain. You just need to practice it. The biology will do what biology does when the signal changes. Now let me take you to the deeper layer, the layer that the science is only beginning to map, but that your body has always known. We've been talking about the heart's electromagnetic field as if it were the only field in the conversation. But it isn't. Your heart is the primary broadcaster, yes. The most powerful electromagnetic generator in your body, yes. But it is not broadcasting into a vacuum. It is broadcasting into a quantum field that is already saturated with information. The quantum field, in the way physicists use that term, is not empty space. It is a medium, a substrate, a plenum, as some physicists describe it, meaning a fullness rather than an emptiness. It is a field of potential from which physical reality is continuously assembled. And your personal electromagnetic field, your aura, your broadcast, is in continuous conversation with that larger field. Here is where we need to be precise, because this is where the language gets slippery, and it's important not to slide into vagueness. The mechanism by which your personal field interacts with the quantum field is resonance, specifically electromagnetic resonance. When two oscillating systems have compatible frequencies, they couple. They influence each other. Energy transfers between them. This is not a metaphysical principle. It is basic physics. It is the same principle by which a tuning fork causes a nearby string to vibrate at the same frequency, by which radio receivers pick up specific broadcasts, by which the moon's gravitational field creates tides in the ocean. Your electromagnetic field is oscillating. The quantum field is oscillating. When the frequency of your field matches the frequency of a particular pattern in the quantum field, those patterns couple. They resonate. And in that resonance information transfers, not just outward from you to the field, inward from the field to you, to your biology, to your epigenome. This is the mechanism by which consciousness, which is itself an electromagnetic phenomenon generated by the coherent activity of billions of neurons, can influence biology at the molecular level, not through magic, through resonance, through the physics of coupled oscillating fields. What this means for your DNA is profound. Your genome is not just listening to your heart's field. It is, through the medium of your heart's field, in resonance with the quantum field itself. The patterns available in that larger field, the patterns of wholeness, of regeneration, of optimal biological expression, are accessible to your genome, not automatically, not unconsciously. But when your heart's field is coherent enough, organized enough, powerful enough in its broadcast, the resonance coupling becomes possible. This is what the ancient traditions were pointing to when they spoke of healing that comes from within. This is what the mystics were describing when they spoke of the body as a temple, as a vessel for something larger. They didn't have the language of quantum field theory or epigenetics, but they were describing the same phenomenon. The human body, when its electromagnetic field is organized and coherent, becomes a resonant receiver for patterns of information that exist in the larger field of reality. And those patterns, when received, when coupled with, when allowed to propagate through the cellular environment, express themselves as biological change. Your DNA is not a closed system. It is an antenna, and your coherent heart is what determines the quality of the signal it receives. I want to address something directly because I can feel the part of you that is skeptical, and that part deserves to be spoken to honestly. The language of quantum fields and DNA activation can sound like the kind of thing that gets repeated without evidence, that floats in the space between genuine science and wishful thinking. And there is real reason to be careful here, because that space exists. And not everything spoken in the language of quantum biology is equally grounded. So let me be specific about what is established and what is emerging. What is established? The heart generates a powerful electromagnetic field that extends beyond the body. This is measured. Heart rate variability coherence is a real, measurable state with documented physiological correlates. Epigenetic markers are real and responsive to environmental signals, including electromagnetic signals. Telomere length is influenced by psychological states and correlates with biological aging. gene expression is dynamic, not fixed, and changes in response to the internal environment of the body. What is emerging and not yet fully mapped? The precise mechanisms by which the heart's field influences specific epigenetic markers in specific genes. The degree to which conscious emotional states can produce targeted versus broad epigenetic changes. The nature of the interaction between individual electromagnetic fields and the larger quantum field in ways that produce biological effects. The honest position is this: the established science is extraordinary enough. You don't need to reach into speculation to find something worth being changed by. The documented reality of your heart's electromagnetic field, of epigenetic responsiveness, of the connection between your emotional states and your cellular environment, is already more than enough to justify the practice of coherence as a biological priority. The emerging science is pointing toward something even larger. I am not going to claim certainty about what hasn't been fully mapped. What I will say is that the direction of the evidence is consistent, that every new finding in this space has pointed toward greater, not lesser, biological responsiveness to electromagnetic and emotional states, and that your body, which has been doing this for your entire life without your conscious participation, is ready to do it with you now. That readiness is what you found when you found this. Let me tell you about a second person. His name is Daniel. Daniel was not sick. He was not in crisis. He was, by most external measures, doing well. Successful career, stable relationships, a life that looked, from the outside, exactly as it was supposed to look. But Daniel had a private experience that he had never told anyone, a feeling that he was operating at about 40% of something, that there was a version of himself, a capacity, a aliveness, a creative power that he could almost feel at the edges of his awareness, but couldn't quite access, like a frequency he could almost tune to, but kept sliding off of. He had tried everything he could think of: productivity systems, therapy, meditation, cold exposure. Each of these helped a little in different ways, but none of them touched the core thing, the sense that the signal was still somehow muffled, that something in him was still broadcasting below its actual power. What Daniel eventually discovered, through a combination of reading and a single conversation that cracked something open, was that the muffling was not a capacity problem. It was a coherence problem. His nervous system, which had learned early in life to manage the unpredictability of his environment by staying slightly contracted, slightly vigilant, slightly defended, had never fully unwound from that posture. Even in the absence of actual threat, his autonomic nervous system was running a low-level stress program. His heart's electromagnetic field was broadcasting that program, and his DNA was expressing it. The 40% feeling was not a metaphor. It was a biological reality. His genome was not expressing at full capacity because the electromagnetic environment inside his body was not signaling safety, expansion, and full activation. It was signaling management, survival, careful, controlled, defended adequacy. When Daniel understood this, something shifted before he even changed a single practice. The understanding itself was a coherence event. Because understanding, genuine understanding of your own biology, of your own broadcast, of your own capacity, is an expansion. And expansion is a coherence state, and coherence is a signal. And the signal reaches your DNA. He began to practice coherence not as a technique, but as a biological commitment, not as something he did in the morning and then forgot about, but as a continuous orientation, a choice made moment by moment to return to the coherent state whenever he drifted from it. To notice the drift, the contraction, the defensive posture without judgment, and to breathe, to feel, to return. Within months, the 40% feeling had changed. Not to 100%, because that's not how this works. There is no arrival point. There is only the practice of returning again and again to the coherent broadcast. But the ceiling had lifted. The muffling had cleared. The creative capacity, the aliveness, the sense of operating from something closer to full expression became accessible in a way it hadn't been before. Daniel's DNA didn't change. His genome was the same genome it had always been. What changed was what his genome was expressing. The same instrument, played differently. The same code, read by a different electromagnetic environment. The same potential, finally receiving the signal it needed to activate. This is what is available to you. Not a different biology, a different broadcast. And I want to ask you something here, because the stories in this community are some of the most powerful transmissions I know. Have you ever noticed a moment when your light seemed to affect a room? When your energy shifted and the people around you shifted with it? When you felt your own field activate in a way that surprised you? Tell me in the comments. These experiences are not small. They are evidence of exactly what we've been exploring. And sharing them strengthens the field for everyone reading. Now let's talk about what your field is doing right now, in this moment, as you receive this transmission. Because I want to be specific about the mechanics of reception, about what happens in your body when you encounter information that resonates with something you already know at a deep level. When you hear something that is true for you, not just intellectually interesting, but genuinely resonant with your actual experience, your body responds before your mind has fully processed it. This is the phenomenon researchers call somatic resonance. The body recognizes truth at a frequency level before the cognitive mind has finished evaluating it. You've felt this, the sudden relaxation in your chest when something clicks into place, the slight acceleration of your heartbeat when you encounter an idea that feels important, the involuntary exhale that happens when something you've been carrying is finally named. These are not incidental responses. They are your field reorganizing around new information. They are your electromagnetic signature shifting as the content of your broadcast updates. They are, in the most literal sense, biological events triggered by recognition. And recognition is itself an epigenetic signal. Here is something that the research on learning and neuroplasticity has been pointing toward that extends directly into epigenetic territory. When you learn something that genuinely reorganizes your understanding, your brain doesn't just form new neural connections. It changes the expression of genes involved in synaptic plasticity, in the production of new proteins that strengthen those connections, in the regulation of the neurotrophic factors that support neural growth and maintenance. Learning, real learning, the kind that shifts something fundamental, is a gene expression event, which means that right now, in this moment, if something in this transmission is landing as genuine recognition, if something in you is responding to this with the felt sense of yes, this is true, I have always known this, then that recognition is already changing the pattern of gene expression in your nervous system, already shifting the epigenetic markers on the genes involved in your capacity for expansion, for coherence, for conscious broadcasting. You don't have to do anything to earn this. You don't have to be worthy of it. You just have to receive it. Genuinely, fully, with the same quality of felt openness that you brought to the practice we did earlier. The code inside you is activating because you are activating it, not by trying, by recognizing. Let me give you the third and deepest layer of this, the one that connects everything we've explored today into a single, coherent understanding. Your DNA is not just a receiver, it is a transmitter. This is the finding from Montagnier's work that is most radical and most important. DNA emits electromagnetic signals, not just receives them. The double helix structure of DNA, the specific geometry of that twisted ladder, creates a natural electromagnetic antenna. It is shaped at the molecular level to both receive and broadcast electromagnetic frequency. The base pair sequences of your DNA, the specific order of adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine that makes you you, generates a specific electromagnetic signature. Your DNA has a frequency, a unique, individual, irreproducible electromagnetic signature that is as specific to you as your fingerprint. That signature is broadcasting into the field inside your body. It is broadcasting into the water that surrounds your cells. It is broadcasting through the medium of your heart's field into the electromagnetic environment around your body. Your aura, the field that extends beyond your skin, is not only generated by your heart and nervous system, it carries, encoded within it, the electromagnetic signature of your genome. Your aura is, in a very real sense, a broadcast of your DNA. And here is what this means for everything we've been exploring. When your heart is in a coherent state, when your field is organized and powerful and clear, the DNA signature it carries is amplified. It is broadcast more clearly, more powerfully, more coherently into the quantum field. And the quantum field, which is a resonant medium, responds to that broadcast by sending back information that matches its frequency. Information that your DNA recognizes as compatible, as coherent, as belonging to the same signal family. This is the mechanism of what people experience as synchronicity, as the right person appearing at the right moment, as the opportunity that arrives when you are in the right state, as the sense that when you are fully yourself, fully coherent, fully radiating, the world seems to reorganize around you in ways that serve your highest expression. It is not magical thinking. It is electromagnetic resonance at a quantum scale. Your coherent field, carrying the broadcast of your DNA, attracting into your experience the patterns, people, and possibilities that resonate with your specific frequency. The quantum field does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you broadcast. And what you broadcast is determined by the coherence of your heart and the clarity of your field. This is why becoming conscious of your broadcast changes everything. Because an unconscious broadcast is determined by your conditioning, your history, your fears, your habitual emotional states. But a conscious broadcast, one you are deliberately generating through coherent emotional states and clear intention, carries your actual signal. The signal of your DNA at its most coherent and most fully expressed. That signal is extraordinary. It has never been broadcast before. It will never be broadcast again. It is as unique as you are, and it is waiting. It has always been waiting for you to become conscious enough of it to let it radiate at full power. You've been dimming it, not because you're weak, not because you're broken, because you learned at some point, in some way, that full radiance was not safe, that being fully seen, fully expressed, fully yourself was a risk. And so you contracted, you managed, you broadcast at 40% or 60% or whatever percentage felt safe enough to survive. And your DNA has been expressing that percentage. Your genome has been listening to that contracted signal and organizing its expression around it, not because it wants to limit you, because it is doing exactly what it is designed to do. Express the biology that the electromagnetic environment is calling for. Change the environment. Change the expression. You are not starting from zero. You are not trying to build something that isn't there. You are revealing what has always been there. You are clearing the static from a signal that was never broken. You are turning up the volume on a broadcast that has been playing at the wrong frequency for too long. The code inside you is not dormant. It is waiting. It has been waiting with extraordinary patience for the moment when you would understand what it needs, when you would stop broadcasting fear and start broadcasting coherence, when you would stop dimming your field and start radiating it deliberately. That moment is now. I want to give you one more practice before we move into integration, because there is something specific I want you to carry out of this transmission. Something you can use in the moments when you feel yourself contracting, when you feel the old broadcast reasserting itself, when the 40% feeling returns and you can't quite find your way back to coherence. This is called the DNA acknowledgement practice, and it is exactly what it sounds like. Place your hand on your heart again. Take one slow breath, and then, either silently or aloud, say this: I acknowledge the intelligence inside me. I acknowledge the 3 billion base pairs that carry the blueprint of my fullest expression. I acknowledge that my DNA is listening. And I choose, in this moment, to broadcast coherence, to broadcast love, to broadcast the signal that says it is safe to express fully. It is safe to be whole. It is safe to radiate at full power. Then breathe. Feel the warmth in your chest. Let the coherence build and hold it for as long as you can. This practice is not a ritual. It is a biological communication. You are speaking through the electromagnetic medium of your heart's field, directly to the epigenetic machinery of your genome. You are telling your DNA, in the language it actually understands, the language of electromagnetic frequency and coherent field, what to express. It is the most intimate conversation you will ever have, and you can have it anywhere, anytime, in the middle of a difficult meeting, in the moment before a hard conversation, in the quiet of the night when the old fears come, in the ordinary, unremarkable moments of an ordinary day that are never actually ordinary, because in every one of them, your heart is broadcasting and your DNA is listening. Every moment is an opportunity to change the signal. Now, I want to go somewhere that most transmissions on this subject never go, because there is a dimension of this that is specific to the moment in history you are living in, and it would be incomplete to leave it unaddressed. We are living through a period of extraordinary collective electromagnetic disruption. The pace of information, the density of stimulation, the sheer volume of signals competing for your nervous system's attention at every hour of every day is unlike anything the human electromagnetic field has ever had to navigate. Your ancestors, even your grandparents, lived in an electromagnetic environment that was orders of magnitude quieter than the one you are navigating right now. The amount of low-grade sympathetic activation, the chronic low-level stress response that is the background noise of modern life, is not a personal failing. It is a systemic condition, a feature of the electromagnetic landscape you were born into. And this matters for your epigenome in a very specific way, because chronic low-grade sympathetic activation, the kind that comes not from acute crisis, but from the relentless low-level noise of overstimulation, produces a specific epigenetic signature. Researchers studying the epigenomes of people in chronically high-stimulation environments have found elevated methylation on genes associated with immune regulation and cellular repair, and reduced methylation on genes associated with inflammatory response. The epigenome of chronic overstimulation looks at the molecular level like an organism that has been running a low-level emergency program for so long it has forgotten what the baseline felt like. This is not destiny, but it is context. And understanding the context changes what the practice means. When you sit down to do the coherence practice we explored earlier, you are not just doing something for yourself. You are doing something that is genuinely countercultural at the biological level. You are deliberately withdrawing your nervous system from the overstimulation field and returning it to the coherent state that your epigenome was designed to operate in. You are, in the most literal sense, restoring the electromagnetic baseline that your genome evolved to receive. You are giving your cells a signal they have been waiting for, in some cases for years, and in some cases for generations. Because here is the part of epigenetics that the research is only beginning to fully map, but that the data is increasingly pointing toward. Some epigenetic patterns are heritable. They can be passed from parent to child, not through changes in the DNA sequence itself, but through changes in the epigenetic markers that sit on top of that sequence. The methylation patterns of a chronically stressed parent can appear in the epigenome of their child, not as a genetic sentence, as an inherited electromagnetic tendency, a predisposition toward certain patterns of gene expression that reflects the electromagnetic environment the parent lived in. This is why some people feel like they are carrying something that doesn't entirely belong to them. A fatigue, a contraction, a low-level vigilance that has no clear source in their own life experience. It may be, in a very real biological sense, an inherited epigenetic pattern, a frequency signature that was passed down not through the DNA sequence, but through the epigenetic layer that sits above it. And here is what the research also shows. Inherited epigenetic patterns are not permanent. They are responsive. They can be changed. Not quickly, not with a single session of coherence practice, but over time, with consistent, deliberate, sustained shifts in the electromagnetic environment of the body. The inherited pattern can be cleared. The inherited frequency can be updated. The epigenetic legacy can be rewritten. Not just for you, for the people who come after you. When you practice coherence, when you deliberately and consistently shift the electromagnetic environment inside your body toward the ordered, sinusoidal, love-generated field that your genome recognizes as home, you are not just changing your own epigenome. you are potentially changing the epigenetic inheritance you will pass on. You are writing a different pattern into the layer that sits above the sequence. A pattern that says, "It is safe here. The world is coherent. The organism can express its full capacity. Repair and regeneration are the priority, not vigilance and defense." That is not a small thing. That is one of the most significant things a human being can do. Your coherence practice is not self-indulgence. It is generational medicine. I want to tell you about a third person. Her name is Solene. Solene was 34 years old, and she had spent most of her adult life feeling like she was one step behind herself. Not in the practical sense. She was competent, organized, effective. But there was a quality to her inner life that she described, when she finally found language for it, as a constant low-grade bracing, as if some part of her was always waiting for the floor to drop. She couldn't trace it to any single event. There was no obvious trauma, no clear origin story. It was just there, the way weather is just there, pervasive and seemingly sourceless. When Solene encountered the research on transgenerational epigenetic inheritance, something cracked open in her. Not because it gave her someone to blame, but because it gave her something far more useful. A mechanism, a biological explanation for something she had been trying to understand through psychology and narrative and memory, and finding only partial answers. The bracing wasn't hers in the way she had assumed. It wasn't a character flaw or a psychological wound she had failed to heal. It was an inherited electromagnetic pattern, a frequency her nervous system had been handed, encoded in the epigenetic layer above her genome that predisposed her toward vigilance, the way a compass predisposes toward north. What changed for Solene was not that she stopped doing the psychological work. She continued it, but she added the biological layer. She began treating her coherence practice not as a mood management tool, but as an epigenetic intervention. She understood that she was working on a layer of her biology that was older than her conscious memory, that predated her own experience, that was in some sense ancestral. And that understanding changed the quality of her practice. It made it more serious, more patient, more compassionate, because she was not just working on herself. She was working on something that had been handed down, and she was choosing to hand something different forward. Within a year, the bracing had shifted in a way that no amount of cognitive work had quite managed. Not disappeared, shifted. softened. The floor still felt like it might occasionally drop, but the part of her that was always waiting for it had begun to relax, to trust, to let the electromagnetic environment inside her body carry a different message than the one it had been running for as long as she could remember. She described it in a conversation she shared with someone who then shared it with me, as feeling like she had finally exhaled a breath she had been holding since before she was born. That is what epigenetic clearing feels like. Not dramatic, not sudden. A slow, biological exhale. A relaxation at a level deeper than thought. A return to a frequency that was always native, always available, always waiting for the conditions that would allow it to express. Those conditions are coherence, and coherence is a choice you can make right now. Now I want to speak to the specific quality of attention that makes the coherence practice most effective, because this is something that is rarely addressed with the precision it deserves. There is a difference between generating a positive emotion and generating a coherent field. The difference is not about intensity. It is about embodiment. You can think about gratitude without feeling it. You can cognitively rehearse appreciation without the felt sense of it registering in your body. And when you do, your heart rate variability pattern does not shift into the sinusoidal coherence that produces an organized electromagnetic field. The thought without the felt sense is not the signal. The felt sense is the signal. This is why heart math researchers are specific about the instruction. The emotion must be genuine, not performed, not conceptual, genuinely felt. The difference between a genuine positive emotion and a performed one is measurable in the HRV pattern. Genuine felt appreciation produces the sinusoidal coherence pattern. Performed or conceptual appreciation does not, or produces only a partial shift. What this means for your practice is that the quality of your attention matters more than the duration of your practice. 5 minutes of genuinely felt appreciation is more epigenetically significant than 20 minutes of going through the motions. The signal has to be real. The warmth has to be actual. The felt sense has to register in your body, not just your mind. This is also why the specific memories and images you use in your practice matter. Abstract gratitude. Gratitude for life in general, for the universe, for existence, tends to stay in the cognitive register. Concrete, specific, sensory gratitude, the exact texture of your child's hair, the specific quality of light on a particular afternoon, the precise warmth of a mug of tea on a cold morning tends to drop into the body. It tends to generate the felt sense that shifts the HRV pattern. It tends to produce the signal. Your practice will deepen as you become more skilled at generating the felt sense quickly and sustaining it for longer. This is a learnable skill. Like any other skill, it develops with deliberate practice. And like any other skill, the early sessions will feel effortful, and the later sessions will feel natural. The biology is the same in both cases. The signal is being sent. The epigenetic machinery is responding. The difference is only in how conscious and deliberate the process feels. Trust the biology, even when the practice feels clumsy. The signal is reaching your DNA, whether or not it feels elegant. There is one more dimension of this I want to address before we move into integration, because it is the one that people most often miss. And missing it is the difference between a practice that transforms and a practice that merely comforts. The coherence practice is not a way of bypassing difficulty. It is not a technique for making yourself feel better, so that you don't have to feel what is actually present. That version of the practice, the one that uses positive emotion as a way of avoiding the difficult emotions rather than as a genuine biological signal, is not the practice I am describing. And it does not produce the same epigenetic effects. The coherence practice that reaches your DNA is one that is done with full awareness of what is also present. The fear that is also there, the grief that is also there, the contraction that is also there. The practice is not to pretend those things aren't there. It is to choose, while acknowledging what is present, to also generate the coherent signal, to hold both, to be with the difficulty and simultaneously, deliberately generate the warmth. This is a much harder practice than the bypass version. It requires genuine emotional range, the capacity to feel something difficult and not be consumed by it, to acknowledge the contraction and choose, in the same moment, to breathe into expansion, to feel the fear and choose simultaneously to generate love. But it is this version of the practice, the one that holds both, that produces the deepest epigenetic shifts. Because it is this version that is most honest most real, most genuinely felt. And the signal that reaches your DNA is always the signal that is most genuinely felt. You don't have to be in a good mood to practice coherence. You have to be genuine. And genuine, in the context of this practice, means willing to feel what is actually present while simultaneously choosing to generate the signal of love. That is the full practice. That is what changes the broadcast at the deepest level. Before we close, I want to speak to the community of people who have found this. Because you are not alone in this discovery. There are people all over the world who are right now in this same moment of recognition, who are understanding, perhaps for the first time, that their biology is not their fate, that their DNA is not a fixed sentence, that the electromagnetic field of their heart is the most powerful epigenetic instrument they possess, and that the simple, daily, embodied practice of coherence, of genuine positive emotion, of conscious broadcasting, is not a spiritual luxury, but a biological necessity. You are part of a field of people who are choosing to broadcast consciously, and that matters beyond your individual biology, because fields interact, because coherent fields amplify each other, because when enough people in a shared space, in a shared moment, in a shared transmission, are broadcasting coherence simultaneously, the combined field is more powerful than the sum of its parts. This is not speculation. Heart math researchers have documented what they call social coherence, the measurable amplification of individual heart coherence when multiple people are in coherent states simultaneously. The fields couple. The resonance deepens. The signal strengthens. You are not just doing this for yourself. You are doing it for the field, for the collective electromagnetic environment that everyone who encounters you will be touched by, for the people in your life whose cells are right now in resonance with your field, for the children who are growing up in the electromagnetic environment you create, for the world that is assembled moment by moment from the broadcasts of the people in it. Your coherence is a contribution. Your radiance is a gift. Your conscious broadcast is an act of service. And if this transmission has activated something in you, consider returning to it in a quiet moment, in the stillness of an early morning before the world comes in, or in the last few minutes before sleep, when your field is most open and most receptive. That is when this lands deepest. Or if there is someone in your life whose light needs reminding, whose field has been contracted for longer than it should be, share this with them. When you pass a transmission like this to someone whose aura is ready to receive it, you are not just sending a link. You are initiating a resonance. You are activating their awareness of their own field, which strengthens yours through the coupling of coherent signals, which contributes to the luminosity of the collective field we are all part of. Radiance shared is radiance multiplied. So here is what I want to leave you with. The integration principle for everything this transmission has carried. Your DNA is not what limits you. Your broadcast is what determines what your DNA expresses. Your broadcast is determined by the coherence of your heart's electromagnetic field. Your heart's coherence is determined by the quality of the emotional states you deliberately and consistently generate. And the quality of your emotional states is determined ultimately by how conscious you are of your own radiance, by how clearly you understand that you are a broadcasting field, by how deliberately you choose what that field carries. The chain is clear. The mechanism is real. The practice is simple. The results are documented. You found this because something in you was ready to know it. Something in your biology, some pattern in your epigenome, some frequency in your field, was already oriented toward this understanding, already tuned to this signal, already in the process of the shift that finding this represents. That is not coincidence. That is coherence. That is your field doing what a coherent field does, drawing toward it the information that matches its frequency. You were already broadcasting this. You just needed to become conscious of it. Your DNA is listening. It has always been listening. It has been waiting with the patience of 3 billion years of evolutionary intelligence for you to understand what it needs from you. Not perfection, not constant bliss, not the absence of difficulty or fear or contraction, just the practice of returning again and again and again to the coherent state, to the open chest and the slow breath and the genuine warmth of a heart that is choosing in this moment to broadcast love instead of fear. That choice is available to you in every moment. It is available to you right now. Your field is active. Your genome is listening. Your broadcast is changing. The code inside you is not just activating. It has always been activated. What is changing is that now you know it. And knowing it, you can work with it consciously. You can become the deliberate, coherent, luminous broadcaster of the most extraordinary signal in the known universe, the electromagnetic signature of a human being who has woken up to their own radiance. That's what you are. That's what you've always been. And now you know it. Carry that knowing into every room you enter today, into every breath you take, into every moment when you feel the pull toward contraction and choose instead to expand, to breathe, to feel, to broadcast. Your DNA is listening. Make it something worth hearing.